Guys, it's kind of nuts how all this political news and these events hit so close to home for me, okay, being in North Carolina. As if you guys haven't heard, the Colonial pipeline, which is a vital U.S. fuel artery, was attacked, right? There was a cyber attack carried out on this company in which forced them to shut down the pipeline, right? And this has caused some major shortages and maybe some price hikes as well. Except, according to New York Times, that's not actually what's happening, okay? Because the New York Times, the liberal media, is saying that since this shutdown happened, there have been no long lines or major price hikes for gas, okay? This is New York Times, a major news outlet, saying that because this major pipeline that runs through the East Coast that supplies fuel up and down the East Coast was shut down, there was no long lines of people waiting to get gas, and there's no major price hikes.
From Florida to North Carolina, drivers made a run for gas, waiting in long lines across the Southeast in anticipation of a shortage.
You don't want to miss out. You don't want to be the one that doesn't get gas.
The shutdown of the pipeline's also putting major airports in Baltimore, Charlotte, and others on the East Coast at risk of low supply. Federal officials worked through the weekend to monitor the fallout, and the transportation department's making it easier to move fuel by truck to address supply disruptions. The FBI says a hacking group known as Darkside is responsible. It appears to be Russia-based.
So far, there is no evidence from our intelligence people that Russia is involved, although there is evidence that the actors' ransomware is in Russia. They have some responsibility to deal with this.
Like U.S. Colonial Pipeline, 85% of American critical infrastructure is owned and operated by the private sector. And experts say collaboration between the government and companies is crucial. Kirsten Todd is managing director of the Cyber Readiness Institute.
And if a company like Colonial Pipeline with resources available to it isn't doing the basics, then we have to do a better job making sure our small businesses have the resources and the knowledge and the awareness about what they can do to prevent a ransomware attack.
And Todd says the U.S. needs to aggressively prosecute the hackers and the countries harboring them.
If somebody had put a bomb on this pipeline and had disrupted it for a week, we would have no question as to the type of response we would have and the consequences.
As for gas prices, our friends at AAA tell us if this is a short-term event, shouldn't be that much of an impact on price or supply. But of course, if this goes a little longer, Anthony, we could have a bit of a problem.
Yeah, let's hope not, Ed. Thank you very much.
And guys, this is a part of what I've been telling you guys about how the liberal media does not want us to use our common sense, right? They don't want us to believe what we're saying, because all over social media, you have people posting videos of them waiting in long lines for gas, particularly in Asheville, North Carolina, right? You have Charlotte, you have places all up and down the East Coast that are facing major shortages, all right? This is on social media, okay? And you also have other major outlets that are also saying that, hey, we're facing some major shortages. We're facing some major lines. Gas prices on the rise. But for whatever reason, the New York Times is saying this is not happening. Okay? That's what they're saying. And guys, in my opinion, this is just another example of how far the liberal media will go to try to defend the Biden administration and try to act like everything is great, right? We shouldn't believe what we're saying. What other explanation can there be for this? Otherwise, the person who wrote this article, let's see here, Clifford Cross, should probably be fired. But enough of me going in on the New York Times for just being wrong, okay? Let's talk more about the criminal group DarkSide that is responsible for this hacking, just so you guys know a little bit more about this company and how they work. A criminal gang believed to be based in Eastern Europe was involved in the hack that has led to the shutdown of the main pipeline supplying gasoline and diesel fuel to the U.S. East Coast. U.S. officials said Monday as President Biden and others decried the ransomware attack that was used as a growing global problem. The organization known as DarkSide is a relatively new hacking group that Russian security researchers say is likely based in Eastern Europe, possibly in Russia. The organization created the malicious computer code that resulted in the shutdown, officials said. The FBI confirms that DarkSide ransomware is responsible for the compromise of the Colonial pipeline networks, as the Federal Bureau of Investigation spokesperson said Monday. We continue to work with the company and our government partners on the investigation. The hack of Colonial pipeline code disclosed over the weekend has prompted intense concern among senior U.S. officials within the Biden administration, many of whom already view ransomware as a digital blight capable of jeopardizing national and economic security. Ransomware is a practice hackers use to lock up computer systems and demand payment from victims for their release. Speaking briefly Monday, Mr. Biden said ransomware was a growing problem in need of a global response, and said more investment in critical infrastructure was necessary to safeguard critical systems from debilitating cyber attacks. Mr. Biden and others said the Russian government didn't appear to have a hand in the attack, but criticized Moscow for tolerating criminal hackers within its borders. So far, there's no evidence from our intelligence people that Russia is involved, Mr. Biden said, although there is some evidence that the actors' ransomware is in Russia. They have some responsibility to deal with this. And Neuenberger, Deputy National Security Advisor for Cyber and Emerging Technology, said during a separate White House press briefing that officials believe that DarkSide was a criminal group, and confirmed that Colonial shut down its networks before the ransomware affected any of its operational control systems. Asked if there was a possibility to ties to the Russian government or other groups, Ms. Neuenberger said our intelligence agencies are looking for any ties to a nation-state actors. In Russia, China, and elsewhere, the line between criminal hacking groups and state-backed cyber operations is often murky. Security experts say as governments often tolerate criminal activity as long as it's targeted overseas, and sometimes recruits hackers from those groups to carry out their objectives. Earlier Monday, DarkSide posted a statement on the dark web claiming that its goal was solely to make money, and denied it was connected to a foreign government. The DarkSide statement didn't directly mention Colonial Pipeline, whose 5,500-mile line from the Gulf Coast of Linden, New Jersey, has been offline for 4 days following a ransomware attack on its information technology systems, instead referring obliquely to the latest news. Quote, "We're apolitical. We do not participate in geopolitics," the group said in its post. It said it wasn't tied to a defined government, and added, "Our goal is to make money and not creating problems for society." The group posted the statement, didn't respond to a request for comment, and the statement didn't say how much money was being demanded. All right, so the FBI is looking into this, and this group says that they're apolitical, right? There are some ties to Russia in the sense that they may be located out of Russia, but not necessarily with the government. And I can imagine that if Orange Man Bad was in office, they would probably try to say that, oh, well, this is the Russian government hacking the U.S. and Trump's being soft on Russia and blah, 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 blah. Okay? But obviously, it seems like this group is apolitical and they're just doing it for the money. Okay? And I believe that hopefully these shortages won't last that long, and, you know, these pipelines will be up and running again. Hopefully they have a way of manually doing this stuff outside of having to use technology and software, right? The old antiquated way of doing things, right? Sometimes it's good to have that be a possibility just in case things like this happen. But we will see moving forward. Guys, aren't you glad that the FBI, right, and our intelligence agencies are worried about if you're woke enough to get a job, right? Worrying about what color you are, worrying about your sexuality, worried about all those things except your qualifications, right, that are needed to combat events like this. Aren't you guys glad that the FBI is more worried about that than actually hiring the best people, right, for situations like this, situations and events that dramatically affect consumers across the country? Aren't you glad that our intelligence agencies are so focused on being woke? Aren't you happy about that? Aren't you happy that Orange Man bad and Orange Man tweets, right, that hurts people's feelings is now gone off of social media? Aren't you happy about that? Okay, aren't you happy that we have a president now that under him, he is restarting more conflict in the Middle East? Okay, even though we haven't seen any major conflicts for years now. Now we're saying, Israel and the Palestinians going back at it again. We're saying escalation in Syria. Okay, we have a border crisis, right? We're seeing rising inflation. But, don't worry, right? This president is woke. Our intelligence agencies are woke. It's all in good hands, okay? And don't worry. On top of that, you have the liberal media telling you that everything you see doesn't really exist, right? Seeing is not believing. Don't worry about it. We have a woke president in office. So this is Biden's America, guys. Aren't you glad that this is what you voted for? I'm pretty sure a lot of people are having some buyer's remorse. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.